Darragh Ennis, known to millions as the Menace on ITV's The Chase, has often been seen as the very embodiment of reliability and intellect. A man of science with a quiet humor, a steady charm, and an unwavering dedication to fairness, Darragh quickly became a fan favorite after his debut in 2020. But now, whispers of betrayal have pierced the polished image of this beloved chaser. Behind the smile that lights up primetime television, sources suggest a man navigating something far more complicated. A world where promises may have been broken and trust fractured in ways few could have predicted. For fans who admire Darragh's integrity, these revelations feel almost impossible to believe. And yet, the word betrayal, so heavy, so final, has surfaced. But what really happened? And how could one of the most grounded figures in British television find himself at the center of such whispers? When Darragh Ennis first appeared on The Chase, not as a chaser but as a contestant in 2017, few could have guessed what the future held. Back then, he was an Oxford-educated neuroscientist living a life far removed from TV studios and flashing cameras. His appearance on the show was unforgettable. Calm, sharp, and humble, he stood out, not only for his knowledge, but also for his quiet decency. Contestants and viewers alike noticed something different. He wasn't simply playing for himself. He was encouraging teammates, celebrating their wins, and showing the sort of quiet strength that fans rarely forget. Producers noticed too. By 2020, when Darragh Ennis was announced as the newest chaser, excitement rippled across ITV. Viewers loved the idea of a man plugged from the contestant's chair, stepping into the hot seat as an expert. And for a time, everything seemed perfect. But perfection is often an illusion. Becoming a chaser meant stepping into a world that was very different from academia. Suddenly, Darragh's life was public. Every quiz, every answer, every joke with Bradley Walsh was scrutinized by millions. For many, this was thrilling. For Darragh, it was also daunting. Behind the scenes, friends say he struggled at times with the expectations placed upon him. "He's a perfectionist," one close colleague once shared. "If he gets a question wrong, even a tiny one, it bothers him. He holds himself to impossible standards." And while fans adored his calm demeanor, few realized the pressure he carried home each day. It wasn't just about getting questions right, it was about living up to the image of integrity and steadiness that the public demanded of him. Unlike many celebrities, Darragh kept his personal life firmly shielded from the cameras. Married, with children, and rooted in the scientific career outside of ITV, he worked hard to protect his family from the glare of fame. But fame has a way of intruding, sometimes subtly, sometimes violently. Friends began to notice a distance. Darragh, once fully present, now seemed distracted. The endless travel between filming, university commitments, and family life created tension, and it was during this period insiders suggest that the first whispers of betrayal began to emerge. Not in the tabloid sense of scandal or affairs, but in something quieter and in many ways more painful. For those who know Darragh, betrayal is not about infidelity or glamour. It is about broken promises. Sources close to the Ennis household suggest that the real fracture was one of priorities. When he took the role on The Chase, Darragh allegedly promised those closest to him that family would always come first, that his TV career would never overshadow the quiet, stable life they had built. But as filming demands grew and media appearances increased, cracks began to form. Birthdays missed, school events skipped, even family dinners postponed in favor of long hours preparing for shows. "He betrayed me," one insider claims a loved one confided, not in the glare of publicity, but in the hushed tones of frustration and hurt. The betrayal wasn't about fame itself. It was about a man who, despite his best intentions, became consumed by the world he once promised would never define him. Much like the Clooneys in Hollywood, Darragh and his family lived in two separate realities. On one hand, there was the glittering ITV world, studio lights, red carpets, the prestige of being one of the elite quizmasters in Britain. On the other, there was the quieter, more grounded life of science, home, and community. Balancing those two was never going to be easy. And as those close to the Ennis family reveal, it became clear that one world was pulling harder than the other. The betrayal, then, was less about a single act and more about a gradual drift, a slow, painful departure from the commitments he had made at home. Publicly, Darragh remained the same, charming, calm, a favorite among fans. On social media, he shared updates, jokes, and snippets of life that reassured followers everything was fine. But behind the scenes, silence grew. And silence often speaks louder than words. When rumors of betrayal surfaced, carefully worded, often vague, Darragh said nothing. Those close to him insist this was not avoidance, but protection. He has always been deeply private, unwilling to expose his family to unnecessary scrutiny. Yet his silence has only fueled speculation. What really happened? Was the betrayal recoverable, or was it the beginning of a lasting fracture? Fans of The Chase are not casual viewers. They are deeply invested in the personalities of the chasers. When the whispers of betrayal began circulating online, reactions were swift and divided. Some defended Darragh fiercely, insisting he would never deliberately harm those closest to him. Others believed the word itself, betrayal, was too strong to be used lightly. For many, the real heartbreak came from the sense that a man so deeply admired for his integrity might have faltered in the very area where people trusted him most, his home. So where does this leave Darragh Ennis? Insiders suggest that reconciliation is possible, that the betrayal, though painful, may not be insurmountable. Counseling, renewed promises, and a scaling back of commitments could pave the way for healing. Others fear that the damage has already been done. Once the word betrayal enters a relationship, it becomes a shadow that lingers, even when forgiveness is offered. For now, no official statements have been made. Darragh continues to appear on The Chase, performing with the same intelligence and quiet humor that fans adore. But those who know him well see something different in his eyes, a weariness perhaps, or the weight of reflection. This isn't just a story about celebrity gossip. It is a story about the fragility of promises, the pressures of sudden fame, and the quiet strength required to face betrayal, not just as the one betrayed, but also as the one accused of it. Darragh Ennis remains to many a symbol of decency and intellect, but even the strongest among us stumble. And perhaps it is in those stumbles, not the flawless performances, that we see the humanity of the people we admire. Will Darragh Ennis reclaim the trust of those closest to him? Or will the betrayal mark a turning point in his life, one from which there is no easy return? One thing is certain. For the man known as the Menace, the toughest battle may not be on ITV at 5 p.m. It may be the one unfolding quietly at home.